You may have heard of twin paradox in theory of relativity. Out of twins, one stays on Earth, the other moves at a very high speed to a faraway place, takes a turn and comes back to Earth. We know that motion is not absolute, it is relative. So each twin can say that the other is moving. According to time dilation, in special theory of relativity, moving clock runs slow. So each twin can say that the other should be younger. But when the twins are back together, they can see each other and can read each other's clock readings. So both cannot be younger than each other. This paradox is usually resolved by saying that the space twin will be younger. This is because the space twin switches from one inertial frame to another when he or she takes a turn. So calculations from space twin's frame of reference give incorrect result if we do not account for the change in inertial frame of reference. The Earth twin remains in the same inertial frame throughout. So we get correct result when we make calculations from Earth twin's frame. In this frame, the space twin will be younger. This result is correct, but a question can be asked. Can we get correct result by making calculations from space twin's frame of reference too? The answer is yes, and I am going to explain that in this video. Before continuing with this video, watch these two videos first if you have not watched them already. The first video is titled Twin Paradox in Theory of Relativity. This contains an introduction to twin paradox and explains why the paradox arises. The other video is titled Time Dilation. How can both clocks be slower than each other? This video explains how two clocks may be synchronized in one inertial frame but not in another due to relativity of simultaneity. The links to these videos are given in the description. Consider this scenario. Jack and Jill are twins. A planet X is at a fixed distance from Earth. The proper distance between Earth and planet X is L. Jack stays on Earth. Jill moves at speed v relative to Jack from Earth to X. Jill quickly takes a turn and moves at speed v relative to Jack from X back to Earth. Assume that the time taken by Jill in making the turn is negligible. We also assume that we can neglect the effects of gravitational fields on Earth and planet X so that we do not need to consider the relativistic effects of gravitational fields. When Jill begins from Earth, both Jack and Jill set their clocks to 0, and Jack synchronizes planet X clock with his clock. So in Jack's frame, the planet X clock is also set to 0. According to Jack, Jill is moving. So as per time dilation, Jill's clock ticks slower than Jack's clock. And according to Jill, Jack is moving. So again, as per time dilation, Jack's clock ticks slower than Jill's clock. What will the clocks of Jack and Jill read when Jill is back on Earth? Now they are together, so they have to agree on Jack's clock's reading. They also have to agree on Jill's clock's reading because they can see each other's clock. This is the cause of the paradox. Jill switches from one inertial frame to another as she turns. The result from Jill's frame will be wrong if we do not consider the effect of switching of the inertial frame. Jack remains in the same inertial frame throughout. So the result from Jack's frame will be correct. The final result will be that Jill's clock will show a smaller reading than Jack's clock according to time dilation. In order to understand this better, please watch my video titled Twin Paradox in Theory of Relativity. We can ask these two questions. The first is, how do we get correct result from Gill's frame if we consider the effect of Gill turning and changing of inertial frame? The second question is, what will Gill read on planet X clock when she reaches that planet? Note that she has still not turned, so she is still in the same inertial frame reference as earlier. This is the system of units we will use. We will measure distance in light year and time in year. Therefore, the unit of speed will be light year per year. We know that the value of c is 1 light year per year. Since c equals 1 unit in this system, we will drop c from equations. For example, we will write v divided by c as v and L into v divided by c square as L into v. This will help in reducing the clutter when we write equations. These are the formulas we will need. The formulas of length contraction and of time dilation. As you can see, I did not write speed of light c in the equations because of reasons I mentioned earlier. We'll also use the fact that if two clocks at different locations are synchronized in the frame in which they are at rest, then they are not synchronized in a frame in which they are moving. Instead, the rear clock will be ahead of the other clock by L into v. Here L is the proper distance between the clocks and v is the speed at which the clocks are moving in that frame. Here the word rear is according to the direction of motion of the clocks. For example, if the clocks are moving to the right, then the one which is more to the left is the rear clock. If you want to see how this expression L into v is derived, then watch my video titled Time Dilation, How Can Both Clocks Be Slower Than Each Other? In the first part of journey, Gill is moving from Earth to planet X. But in Gill's frame, she is not moving. Instead, Earth and planet X are moving. In this case, the planet X clock is the rear clock compared to Earth clock. And in the second part of journey, Gill is coming to Earth. In her frame, she is not moving. Instead, Earth is going to Gill. And in the second part of journey, it is the planet Earth clock which is the rear clock. So, in first part of journey, planet X clock is rear clock, and in the second part of journey, Earth clock is rear clock. Jack and Gill will get different values for the distance between Earth and planet X. L is the proper distance between the two planets. In Jack's frame, the distance is L, but according to Gill, the distance is less than L because of length contraction. These are the events we will consider. The first event is Gill begins from Earth. In Jack's frame of reference, the clock readings of Jack, the planet X, and Gill are all 0. Jack's clock reading is 0 because he has set his clock reading to 0. Planet X clock reading is 0 because Jack synchronized planet X clock with his clock, and Gill clock reading is 0 because Gill set her clock to 0 and Gill is next to Jack, so Jack can see that Gill's clock reading is 0. In Gill's frame of reference, Jack's clock reading and Gill's clock reading are 0. Gill's clock reading is 0 because she set her clock reading to 0, and Jack's clock reading is 0 because Jack is next to Gill, So when Jack set his clock to 0, then Jill can read that. But what planet X clock is the rear clock. So in Jill's frame, planet X clock will be ahead of Earth's clock, that is Jack's clock, by L into V. Jack's clock reading is 0. So according to Jill, the planet X clock reading is 0 plus L into V, that is L into V. In Jack's frame, the distance between Earth and planet X is L. So as Jill moves from Earth to planet X, according to Jack, his clock will advance by L divided by V by using the formula time taken equals distance divided by speed. Since planet X clock and Jack's clock are always synchronized in Jack's frame, therefore, according to Jack, the planet X clock will also advance by L divided by V. In Jack's frame of reference, Jill's clock is moving. So, Jill's clock advances by only L divided by V into square root of difference between 1 and V square by time dilation. In Jill's frame of reference, the distance between Earth and planet X is not L, but L into square root of difference between 1 and V square by length contraction formula. Time taken equals distance divided by speed. In Jill's frame of reference, both planet X and Earth are moving at speed V. So, Jill's clock advances by L divided by V multiplied by square root of difference between 1 and V square. In Jill's frame of reference, Jack's clock and planet X clock are slower than Jill's clock. In this frame, Jack's clock and planet X clock advance by delta T Jill into square root of difference between 1 and V square. When we substitute the expression for delta T Jill, that is the amount by which Jill's clock advances, then we get L divided by V multiplied by the difference between 1 and V square. When we simplify this, we find that this equals L divided by V minus L into V. The second event we consider is Jill is on planet X, but she has still not turned. When this event occurs, then according to Jack's frame, Jack's clock reading and planet X clock reading are both L divided by V. This is because when Jill began from Earth, then these two clocks had reading 0 and they advanced by L divided by V. Also in Jack's frame, now Jill's clock reading is 0 plus L divided by V into square root of difference between 1 and V square. This gives us Jill's clock reading as L divided by V into square root of difference between 1 and V square. In the frame of reference of Jill, now Jill's clock reading is L divided by V into square root of difference between 1 and V square. In this frame, planet X clock reading was initially L into V and it advanced by L divided by V minus L into V. So now planet X clock reading is L into V plus L divided by V minus L into V. This gives us L divided by V. Jack's clock reading was initially 0 and it had advanced by L divided by V minus L into V. So now Jack's clock reading according to this frame is L divided by V minus L into V. This answers the second question we posed earlier. The question is, once Jill reaches planet X, what will she find planet X clock reading? As he found planet X clock reading according to Jack's frame will be L divided by V. Now Jill is on that planet, so she can see the current reading of that planet clock. Indeed, as we have derived, Jill also will see that planet X clock reading is L divided by V. In Jill's frame, planet X ticks by smaller amount than her own clock, but she finds that planet X clock reading is higher than her own clock reading. This is because in Jill's frame, planet X clock reading was L into V when her own clock reading was set to 0. The third event we consider is Jill has taken the turn. We are assuming that it took Jill negligible amount of time to make the turn. So in Jack's frame of reference, all the three clock readings will be almost the same as they were before Jill took the turn. In Jill's frame of reference, her clock reading will be almost the same as the reading before she took the turn. She is on planet X. She can see the current reading of that planet's clock. Therefore, in her frame, planet X clock reading also will be almost the same as it was before she turned. But what will be Jack's clock reading in Jill's frame? Jack is far away from Jill. Now Jack's clock is the rear clock for Jill. This means in Jill's frame, Jack's clock reading will be planet X clock reading plus L into V. Planet X clock reading is L divided by V. Therefore, Jack's clock reading will be L divided by V plus L into V. In Jill's frame, Jack's clock reading was L divided by V minus L into V before she turned. So Jill will say that by the time she turned, Jack's clock advanced by 2 into L into V. The last event we consider is Jill is back on Earth. For any of the three clocks and any of the two frames of reference, the time taken in the second part of journey is equal to the time taken in the first part of journey. The reading of a clock is equal to the reading of that clock when Jill has completed the turn plus the time by which that clock ticks during the second part of journey. This is how I have found the readings of Jack's clock and Jill's clock. As you can see, both Jack and Jill will agree on Jack's clock reading as shown in blue color, and they will also agree on Jill's clock reading as shown in red color. This is the effect of Jill taking the turn. In Jill's frame of reference, Jack's clock reading before Jill turns is L divided by V minus L into V, and Jack's clock reading after Jill turns is L divided by V plus L into V. As you can see, the difference between these two readings is 2 into L into V. So Jill will say that by the time she turned, Jack's clock ticked by 2 into L into V. The final result is when Jill is back on Earth, both Jack and Jill will agree on Jack's clock reading and also on Jill's clock reading. As you can see, Jack's clock reading will be 2 into L divided by V and Jill's clock reading will be 2 into L divided by V multiplied by square root of difference between 1 and V square. So Jill's clock reading will be smaller. This means if initially they were of the same age, then once Jill is back on Earth, she will be younger than Jack. Let us take an example. Suppose that the proper distance between Earth and planet X is 8 light years and speed v is 0.8 times the speed of light. Then we get L into v equals 8 into 0.8, which means 6.4 years. You might be wondering how L into V can have units of time. That is because, as we saw earlier, this is actually L into V divided by C square. But we are using a system of units in which C is 1 unit. And square root of difference between 1 and V square is 0.6. The first event is Jill begins from Earth at the start of experiment. Jack and Jill both set their clock readings to 0. Jack synchronizes planet X clock reading with his clock reading. So in Jack's frame, all 3 clock readings are 0. In Jill's frame, Jack's clock reading is 0, Jill's own clock reading is 0, but planet X clock reading is L into V equals 6.4 years. In Jack's frame of reference, the distance travelled by Jill in moving from Earth to planet X is 8 light years, and Jill is moving with a speed of 0.8 times the speed of light. So according to Jack, by the time Jill moves from Earth to planet X in Jack's own clock and planet X clock, the reading will advance by 10 years. Jack will use time dilation formula and calculate that Jill's clock reading will advance by 10 into 0.6, which means 6 years. This is because, as we calculated earlier, the square root of difference between 1 and V square is 0.6. In Jill's frame of reference, the distance between Earth and planet X is 8 into 0.6 light years because of length contraction. In her frame, she is not moving, rather planet X is coming to her. So, her clock reading in her frame of reference will advance by 8 into 0.6 divided by 0.8. This gives us 6 years. So as you can see, according to both Jack and Jill, Jill's clock reading will advance by 6 years. In Jill's frame of reference, both Jack's clock and planet X clock are moving. So Jill will use time dilation formula and calculate that Jack's clock and planet X clock will tick by 6 into 0.6, that is 3.6 years. The second event we consider is Jill is on planet X, but she has still not turned. We can find the reading of a clock by adding the initial reading in that clock and the time by which that clock ticked. So we find that in Jack's frame of reference, Jack's clock reading and planet X clock reading now will be 10 years and Jill's clock reading will be 6 years. In Jill's frame, her clock reading will be 6 years, Jack's clock reading will be 3.6 years and planet X clock reading will be 6.4 plus 3.6, that is 10 years. In Jill's frame, planet X clock is ticking slower than her clock, but still planet X clock reading will be higher than her clock because initially when her clock reading was set to 0, then in her frame planet X clock reading was set to 6.4 years. The third event we consider is Jill has taken the turn. Since we are assuming that she takes negligible amount of time in making the turn, therefore in Jack's frame all the 3 clock readings will be same as they were before Jill took the turn. This means Jack's clock reading, planet X clock reading will be both 10 years and Jill's clock reading will be 6 years. In Jill's frame of reference, her clock reading will remain 6 years, planet X clock reading will remain 10 years, but now Jack's clock is the real clock for her, therefore Jack's clock reading will be L into V higher than planet X clock reading. This means she will say that Jack's clock reading will be 10 plus 6.4, that is 16.4 years. So as you can see, by the time Jill took the turn, she will say that Jack's clock reading advanced by 16.4 years minus 3.6 years. In other words, in this frame of reference, by the time she took the turn, Jack's clock reading advanced by 12.8 years. The last event we consider is Jill is back on Earth. In Jack's frame, his clock ticked by 10 years and Jill's clock ticked by 6 years during the second part of journey. So now his clock reading will be 20 years and Jill's clock reading will be 12 years. In Jill's frame, her clock ticked by 6 years and Jack's clock ticked by 3.6 years during this second part of journey. So now her clock reading will be 6 plus 6, that is 12 years, and Jack's clock reading will be 16.4 plus 3.6, that is 20 years. So from both frames we find that finally Jack's clock reading will be 20 years and Jill's clock reading will be 12 years. In summary, we are able to resolve the twin paradox from the traveling twins frame of reference. As you can see, we resolved the paradox by using a special theory of relativity, and we did not need to use general theory of relativity. The key to resolving the paradox is relativity of simultaneity, which says it is possible that two events are simultaneous in one frame of reference but not in another frame of reference. One of the consequences of relativity of simultaneity is it is possible that two clocks are synchronized in one frame but not in another. In twin paradox, from Earth's frame, Earth clock and destination clock are always synchronized. But in the space twins frame, initially the destination clock is ahead of Earth clock. But after that twin makes the turn, the Earth clock is ahead of destination clock. Hope you found the video useful. Please like and subscribe.